My friends, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you're watching us today, wherever you're tuning on this program today, it's my pleasure, my privilege to be able to reach you and to be with you and to enjoy your company. And I hope you enjoy my company too. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm here to talk about, like every time we get together, I'm here to talk about you, your health, your health maintenance, and just make sure that you have a long, happy, uneventful life. Because life is full of problems, of health problems, of traumas, etc. And they are not as easy to deal with as in many cases. And up in the last time, we have even have to cope with a tremendous condition which has been the COVID-19 epidemics. So that has impacted everybody, whether you got the disease or not. We had confinement, we had a number of rules that were not precisely beautiful, like having to wear a mask everywhere, like having to stand in long lines because we needed this distancing, etc. So life was not what it used to be. And hopefully we're coming back to normality. And as we come back to normality, it is time to reflect on what has happened to us. Because if we don't learn any lesson, then it was a double waste. One, having to deal with the disease, with the pandemics, and the other, that we didn't learn anything, so this is going to happen again. It's likely that's going to happen again. And you say, but what can I do, doctor? What can I do if a pandemic comes down? The word says it, pandemic. It's going to affect everybody. Yes, but not necessarily to the same degree, to the same severity. And you have seen it. You have seen people that got the disease and just glided through it, but some people that died because of the disease. And it is just a matter of preparedness. Where were we when these things struck us? And if we were healthy, if we were strong, if we had good resources, our body could bounce back and be resilient and resist the disease and fight it off and then recuperate. And many people went that route. Others went from bad to worse. They had a disease, then they couldn't breathe, they couldn't oxygenate, they had to go to a hospital. From a hospital, they had to go to intensive care, and to intensive care, they died. And we lost a lot of friends. I don't know about you, I lost friends, I lost family members because of this pandemic. And it's fair to say that if you think about it, those that succumbed to the disease were because many of them were ill prepared. We know that obesity, that diabetes, that high blood pressure, that things that we can see and diagnose very easy were present in these people. But on the other hand, there are many things that we couldn't see. And that had to do with nourishment, with the general status of the body, and how the body could be resilient to whatever the disease was going to produce. Now, with that said, I have to tell you something that is very important, and we're talking about all this pandemic condition because I want to bring you gradually into the subject that I want to cover today. And that subject is very simply aging. Aging, we all know what it is. The whole world ages. The whole world gets older every day. And we do too. And there seems to be no way we can skip that. We know that we are first growing and makes us very happy. Do you remember the days where you went to visit your family and friends and somebody told you, oh my God, you're so tall, you look so good. Oh, I remember. Oh, now you're this height, and you used to be here, and oh, you pass your mother, and you pass your father, etc. You remember those days? We were growing, simply growing. But then one day, another friend tells you, "Oh, you have white hair. Oh, you have this little wrinkle. Oh, you have. Are you hurt? Because I don't see that you can move the same way." And then you say, "No, I'm growing older," which we all hate the word, but it is a fact of life. And let me give you some numbers because I think they're very important. We have roughly 325 million people in America. Well, almost a third, 28 of them, 28% of them are 55 or older. And that's important because that tells you that we have a group of people that we will have to place in a special care situation. Same as with babies. When babies are born, you don't take them to dinner, to restaurant, you don't take them to the movies. They need a special care. They stay at home, you have to change them, you have to feed them, they cannot eat by themselves, they cannot eat fish and chips, etc. So you need a special program to care for babies. Well, as we grow older, it's exactly the same situation. We have to learn how to care of ourselves. And funny to say, it's really funny. Because if I ask people, what would you do to care for infancy? They know. Most of us know how to take care of an infant, but we don't know how to take care of an older person. And by older, I'm talking about 55 and older. That 28% of the population that is going to need special care. And that is important because we, once we get older, we are going to be needing to be treated and fed, etc., in a different situation than when we are between 18 and 55. Those are the golden years. Those are the fantastic time in time where you can almost get away with anything. You can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and jump in a plane and get to Vegas and drink and eat and then stay all night long and go to the disco and come back at 10 a.m. in the morning next day, and then you just take a shower and keep on going. Then you jump another plane, come back, and you're ready to work the following day. You might be tired, you might be sleepy, but you are ready to go back to work. Well, with all that in mind, now you know that you cannot do it anymore. Let's be honest. We know there is a time where you'd rather stay at home than to go to a party. When they tell you, well, we have this party and we're going to do this, and you say, no, you know what? Yesterday I went to bed very late because I was watching a movie. I don't feel like going partying today. I'm tired. In other words, your stamina is not what it used to be. And with that, there are a lot of things that start to happen in your life, which we simply put it in one word: we are aging. And for doctors, this is a very important part of our patient's life. To me, every time I talk to somebody, every time I'm on the phone with anybody, anytime I see a patient, I always ask, how old are you? Number one, because it's a very important question. Number two, because I want to see how you match your chronological age to your looks. And we all know about this. You don't have to be a doctor. Some people are 55 and look 70, and people that are 90 that look 55. So you always have to try to match your looks with your chronological age. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't need a fancy instrument. All you have to do is go to your bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror. And that's going to give you a very good idea of how well kept you are and what areas of you should be improved. Let's say, for example, that you see white hair. Well, that's part of aging. But then you say, okay, I have to take care of this in a different way. But the most important part here is that life's telling me that I'm not the same person I used to be. So I have to start with special care, with special biocare. Because if I choose to biocare, I know everything is possible. So it's the time to start replanning the way I'm going to take care of myself. That's why it's very important that you follow me. That's why it's very important that we have these conversations. That's why I want you to listen to these broadcasts. And you know, you can go to Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and we're going to be there. We have over 100 hours of this programming. But gets even better. You can go to the social media of your choice: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. And then follow me. Follow me, and I will be sending you updates on everything we do, everything we research. And by getting that knowledge, you educate yourself to better care not only you, but your whole family, your whole group of friends, of co-workers, etc. So that's going to offer you a big chance to change your life and lives of people that you love, because you can say, hey, wait a minute, it really makes sense. If I have a baby, if I have a child, if I have a 12-year-old at home, I'm going to take special care of them because I know they have specific needs. I know that the needs of a baby are very different from the needs of a grown up. So, why don't we start thinking of ourselves according to our age? And the same goes for the group between 18 and 55, because you might be in very good shape, you might be able to get away with a lot of things, but the better care you take of yourself, the better off you're going to be when you get to the age I'm mentioning. So you want to get to be 55 or 65 or 80, very healthy, feeling well, full of energy, with lots of stamina and life enjoyment. So don't go anywhere. We're going to continue talking. My friends, this is a very important broadcast, a very important information piece, because we're talking about something that any one of us has to live with, and that's growing older. And as my father said, it is better to deal with problems of aging than not to get to be old in the first place. And I feel very sorry when I know somebody dies before their time, because I think it's very unfair. I trust God for doing it, but nevertheless, uh, as we live longer, we start to feel a number of things. And that's what we're talking about. That's what we uh, want to discuss and analyze today. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm with you every week. And you have these programs, you have over 100 hours of programs that you can go to Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and you're going to have lots of information. Because the more you know about yourself, the more you know about how to take care of yourself, the more you know about biocare, the better off you're going to be. You're going to be healthier. And we're talking about aging. And I was telling you that out of 325 million people in America, about 22 are older than 55. 15% are older than 65. Well, if you need better care at 55, beyond 65, you need a lot more care. Now, let me discuss a little bit about what's aging, because it's very simple to talk about aging, and we know we have hair and wrinkles and loss of strength. There are a number of things that happen as we age, but what is exactly aging? Well, there's still a lot of discussion, and I don't think science can still come to terms to whether this is a programmed uh, process, a pre-programmed process like puberty or adolescence, or whether this is the consequence of accumulated damage to the body that has happened throughout the years. I'm going to tell you my perspective. I think it's a little bit of both. On one hand, for whatever reason, the patterns of God are designed in a certain way, which I don't object, I don't discuss. I was born, then as a baby, I grew and gained weight and grew very fast. And then as a child, I became very active and was still growing. At adolescent, I started just getting taller and bigger and functioning in a different way. Hormonal activity appeared in my body, and then I grew muscles and I completely changed. Then I went through this very stable part of life, which is between 18 and 55 years old, 60, where nothing seems to happen, everything is beautiful, and you can get away with anything you want to do with your body. Still, if you don't take care, you might find a lot of problems. If you do drugs, if you don't eat well, you're going to be sooner than later having to deal with obesity, with diabetes, with high blood pressure, with heart disease, with heart attacks, with a lot of terrible diseases that are going to probably kill you before your time. So still you have to take care. But it seems like one way or another we seem to cope with everything. And then all of a sudden we start to go down, we start to go slower, we start to feel all these effects of aging. And so it might be well that this is a program process of life. We grow at part of the life, we're more or less stable the next, and the next we're going to gradually go down to go away. When, but also you have to consider, because I talked about it all the time. I always say that if I give you a Rolls Royce today and you just get it in the open road and stones and dirt and you drive it in the on the beach, etc., that you're going to have a piece of junk in no time. Well, so the other part is true. As we do wrong things in our lifetime, we accumulate damage. We accumulate damage that's going to be gradually building upon. And as that happens, we start to lose strength, we start to lose stamina, we start to lose a lot of things. Our joints are not what they used to be, and you know what I mean. A good friend of mine always said that our body talks to us. But as we grow older, your body becomes more talkative. Isn't that truth? You used to be, you take your body for granted. You get up in the morning and you go swimming and you go to a party and you eat whatever and nothing happens. But all of a sudden you start noticing that I have acid reflux. I cannot sleep as well. I have this ache in my neck the following morning. My knees are not what used to be. I try to get up from a chair and I have to lean on the desk. It's not what it used to be, etc. So all that is a combination of all this program aging, all this program process, because there are a lot of biochemical, metabolic things that happen at the same time. Our hormonal output goes lower, nutrient absorption in the gut slows down. So even if we eat well, we do not absorb everything we need. Something as simple as, everybody knows, vitamin D is produced by sunlight exposure. Yes, as we grow older, we produce less vitamin D per unit of sunlight than before. A young person can be out in the sun for 15 minutes and create a lot of vitamin D. As we grow older, after 65, we don't do the same, we don't have the same efficiency. We produce much less vitamin D. So I see people all the time, older people, where I say, what's your vitamin D level? And we check it out. It's very easy to do it. Ask your doctor to check it out. And then you say, but you're low. And they say, but doctor, how can it be low? I expose myself to sunlight all the time. Well, your system is not as efficient. So things are not what they used to be. Then is the time we have to start implementing a different lifestyle. That different lifestyle is part of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to insist in certain things. Like, for example, if we're talking about vitamin D, well, we're going to need more exposure, number one. We have to make sure we eat the precursors of vitamin D, which are green leafy vegetables. We have to make sure that we take care of ourselves in that fashion, and that if the level is low, that we supplement the vitamin D. Why? Because vitamin D is responsible for a lot of the symptoms that we develop as we get older. But what are those, doctor? You might be wondering. What vitamin D has to do with my body as I grow older? Well, very simply, you have heard of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is the most common bone disease diagnosed in America. Because as we grow older, our bones become brittle, not as strong. So if we fall, you've seen a baby, you've seen a child, they fall and they go down 3, 4, 5 steps and they bounce back and they laugh, they feel good. We sometimes just miss something, miss one step, and we break the bone because the bone is not as strong. So all those things tell you that something is happening. And you know something very important that nobody will tell you? I'm going to tell you now and share the knowledge. Vitamin D not only helps your bones to be stronger, but it's going to avoid falling altogether. Why? Because one of the problems of falling as we grow older is lack of equilibrium. We seem to go sideways. We seem to not hold well our body weight. Vitamin D will counteract that. A good level of vitamin D, and once again, just tell your doctor, what's my vitamin D level? I can bet you that more than 50% of you listening, if you go to your doctor and you ask your doctor, what's my vitamin D level? He's going to say, I don't know, we haven't tested it. But it's very important. If you're 50, 55 years or older, you must have a reading of the vitamin D. So you see, it's all a matter of understanding what's happening to our body and why. Because if we do, then we start planning a different type of care. We're going to start biocaring our body. We're going to start looking at vitamin D. We're going to start about green leafy vegetables. We're going to start looking at sunlight exposure, we're going to start looking at physical activity. Physical activity is one of the big problems in our time. We seem to drive and move the least possible, and we have to do the opposite. We have to walk, we have to move, we have to do things at home, we have to vacuum clean, we have to do a lot of things because that physical activity brings inflammation down. And I'm going to talk about all that in a minute. But the important thing is that the more we move, the less sedentary we are, the healthier we're going to be. Look at all those older people, and they say, oh, I know this man that is 80-year old and he still runs on the marathon. It's the opposite. He's at the marathon because he's running, that's why he's healthy. Not that he's healthy enough to run. No, it's the opposite. He's healthy because he runs. He's healthy because he walks. He's healthy because he mows the lawn. He's healthy because he cleans the house, because he moves. Physical activity is one of the cornerstones of good health. Nothing can do it better than physical activity in reducing inflammation and in helping carbohydrate metabolics. So if you're a diabetic, you have to move. If you have a cancer, you have to move because we have to reduce inflammatory markers. Don't go anywhere. I'm all geared up. We're going to continue talking about this. My friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez talking about aging. And you know you can listen to me every Friday night, 7:30 p.m. at Truth Be Told Radio Network. I have to say Eastern Standard Time. And there's a repeat program at 9 o'clock on Saturdays. Again, Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock. But you can go to Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and we're going to be there with many hours of programming like this, hoping to share the word, hoping to help you educate and know better about yourself, know better how to take care of yourself, because this is all about care, all about BioCare. So this is very important for you to do. Follow me. Go to Facebook, go to Twitter, go to Instagram, go to the whatever is the social media of your choice. Go there. I'm there. Follow me. I mean, let's get together. Ask questions. You can ask any question. I'll be very happy to answer you. You can even call me. There's an 800 number in my webpage. You can send me an email. No strings attached. I'll be happy to talk to you. I talk to people all the time, every day. I'm a doctor. I see patients. Okay. I don't have a white gown now, but as I finish this, I'll go immediately to the hospital and talk to patients and see what I can do for them. I have done this for over 50 years of my life. And every time I say this, and every time I have to remember this, how many times I have seen somebody and I say, I wish I would have seen him 10 years ago. I wish I would have seen him a year ago, 3 months ago. And to my satisfaction, I know many people that I saw and I said, you know, this might happen. And I did something by occurring this person, and then I see this person smiling and healthy. She might not know it, but I know I saved his leg, I saved his life, I saved something very important for this person. Because health is what makes us happy. You cannot build anything unless you're healthy. You cannot produce anything unless you're healthy. That's why I always say that it pays to be healthy. You're the most important asset you have. And if you can have that asset in good shape, well, your stock market value is going to go way up. And the opposite is true. If you're not healthy, everything you have, everything you do is going to start going downhill. Let's remind a very simple but very true teaching. Life is in the blood. We all agree with that. Why do I say that when I'm talking about aging? Because it doesn't take too much to understand that when you're living, when we're functioning, this body of ours needs oxygen, needs minerals, needs vitamins, needs water, needs everything. And we have cells here, and we have cells in the tip of the toe. And we bring food to our mouth and oxygen to our lungs. But we have to bring all that to the whole universe of our body. That's possible because of blood circulation. Our blood is going to distribute everything and everywhere. And at the same time, metabolic processes produce waste. Cells get older and die. That produces tissue debris and waste. When we have a little accidents you don't even notice. How many times have you brushed your teeth and you see some blood? That's because you broke some blood vessels. And you don't even think of it. You rinse, spit it out, go on with your life. Do you know how many things happened when you broke that little blood vessel? The blood brought stem cells, the blood brought healing processes, the blood brought clotting things. And then everything that was damaged is discarded through the blood. Because the blood is going to take all these things to the kidney, to the liver, to the lung. And we're going to expel carbon dioxide that we don't need. We need oxygen. So we expel the carbon dioxide, we bring in oxygen. We expel dead protein through the kidneys. We detoxify a lot of products through the liver. But without the blood, nothing would happen. So in medicine, we have a very important saying. You are as old as your blood vessels. Because if you think that your blood delivers life and your blood vessels are not in good shape, that blood is not going to circulate as it should. That blood is not going to do what it should do. That blood is going to be clogged, slowed, etc. And that is going to bring disease. Because life is not going to every tissue of your body. So it's true. Life is in the blood. When we understand that, then we have to understand how important is to keep the blood vessels in good shape. How important is to keep our blood flowing. So it's not only the pipeline, which is the vascular system, it's also the blood. Because the blood is very thick. If the blood is, red cells are clumped. If this happens, as you reach the smaller circulatory system, the microscopic one, the one in which literally red cells go one behind the other because they're very tiny, nevertheless delivering and picking what they should do, then at that point, they're not going to be able to flow. And then we start getting all sorts of symptoms. And if it gets serious, we can even develop gangrene and lose a limb, as it happens, for example, in people with diabetes. Why is that? Because the blood vessels are very affected, because the blood becomes very thick. And it's not just a matter of drinking water. No, it's a matter of important protein metabolic processes that happen in the body that should either run well or give us problem. And you guessed it. I know you know the answer. What makes the circulatory system healthier and what makes it sick? It makes it healthier when we eat well, when we eat vegetables, when we eat good quality of fats like olive oil, like butter, like lard. You say, lard, doctor? Well, let me tell you something. Lard is an omega 9 fatty acid, same as olive oil. The Spaniards say that a pig is an olive with feet, to mention the similarity of quality of oil. So if you think very highly about olive oil, which you should, you have to think that so does the lard. Actually, Americans ate with lard up to the 1920s and didn't have heart attacks. French people eat 3 times the fat that Americans, yet they have 1/3 of the heart disease. That's what Dr. Robert Atkins used to call the French paradox. We eat a lot of fat, but have less heart disease. Why? Because of the quality of the fat. What's what you want to avoid? Vegetable oils. And unfortunately, vegetable oils are in just about every single processed food. So I always say, if it's in a box, if it's in a can, if it's in a foil, beware. You might be eating something that's not good for you. I know a British nutritionist, which she's very good with, fantastic. And she says, you can actually eat anything you want as long as you cook from scratch. In other words, if you have to buy processed foods, you already are getting into a problem. Same goes with sodium. Remember that the villain is sodium, not salt. When you buy sea salt, you're getting a number of chlorides, calcium, potassium. Many of them are even helpful. But sodium is the problem. That's why refined salt should not go to your table. Get coarse sea salt. If it doesn't get humid, it's because it has aluminum in it. Salt should get moist when you have moisture in the environment. That's good salt. The other one is a chemical. Now I panic when I go to a supermarket and I see boxes of milk that stand in the aisleway, no fridge. I say, my God, what did they do to this poor milk? How healthy it is. So just be reasonable. When we're eating, just be reasonable. And listen to your grandmother. Many times she's going to be wiser than your doctor. So by analyzing all these things, we're going to learn more and more. Go to your internet, open videos, follow me. You have any question, whatever. Just say, Dr. Rodriguez, I read this about this type of fat. I read that I shouldn't eat this. I read that this or the other. And I'm going to give you an answer. So that salt could be a problem. Why? Because salt is behind, not salt again, it's sodium is behind high blood pressure. You have to remember that. And processed food has lots of it, even if it's sweets, because it's a great preserver. Sodium is very good to preserve food. So if you have to pack it, you better put some sodium in it. I hope everything starts to make sense, but I'm coming back to you because I have a lot more things to tell you. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm very happy and very excited because I think what we have discussed today is very valuable, very important information. I have been a doctor for over 50 years, and I'm the doctor that doesn't like to be with patients. I don't like to see sick people. You know why? Because 7 out of 10 people that die today in America die from a chronic degenerative inflammatory process that could be avoided in the first place. So to me, when I see all these people with all these diseases, to me it means a defeat. I lost. I couldn't solve the problem. Every time I see a person that's going through surgery, through bariatric surgery, to control a weight problem, I see that as a medical failure. Why? Because nobody could see it coming. I mean, how can you get to be 250 pounds and nobody told you you were doing wrong? If I had a child and I see my child getting to be so heavy, I'm going to run to the doctor. I'm going to open the web. I'm going to look, I'm going to search. I'm not going to wait to have my child dying of a heart attack before I go. Because my children should be at my burial, not vice versa. I don't want to go to a grave to bury a child. They should take care of me when God calls me. But it's happening the opposite. America is not living longer. For the first time since records well recorded. So, and why is that? Because we have more and more people dying of overdoses, of cigarette smoking, of heart attacks, and people that are young. I'm talking of people in their 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, if you're 50 something, you're a very young guy. Somebody says that 50 is the new 40s, which I think is true. But we should be healthy and living very well. And what is aging? Well, aging is a process. We have discussed it before today. It's a process. It's probably a process that has been pre-programmed in our genes, in our life. We are going to sometime start an aging a senescence path that's going to lead us graciously out of this world. And I say graciously if you're healthy. If not, you're going to be in pain, you're going to be in a hospital, you're going to be spending thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what you have to do, is you have to say, wait, the same thing I'm telling you. If I see my child getting to be 180 pounds, 200 pounds, I run to the doctor. I'm telling you, if you start getting aches and pains and problems and shortness of breath and all these things, and you say, but I'm 55, I don't think I should feel like this. If you go to your shower, take your shower, go out and look at yourself in the mirror, and you see something you don't like, you see that your chronological age doesn't justify the way you look, doesn't justify your weight, your waistline, doesn't justify that your blood pressure is going up, etc. That's the time to call me. You have to start biocaring. And many times, it's not as easy as to say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet. How many people decide to go on a diet every day? Millions. How many succeed? Very little. Because we don't know how. Every time I talk to somebody, they say, but I'm taking care of myself, doctor. Let me tell you something. Every time somebody tells me that he or she is taking care of themselves, I panic. because they normally are doing things I don't like, that are unhealthy. I had a very good friend, and he came to work with us, and he started working. And I said, I see some problems. He was very young. He was 30 years old. And I could see already some things I didn't like. I said, you have to check this, we have to check that. He says, but I take very good care. I said, what's good, very good care? Well, I don't drink coffee. I drink a cup of tea. And for breakfast, I have my cereal. And then I take a granola bar. I just grab him, put him in front of his cereal, put him in front of his granola bar, and see, can you read this? You're eating sugar, you're eating the bad oils, you're eating things you don't need, sodium. You are going the pathway of problem. No, you stop that. You're going to have a banana, going to have oatmeal, old-fashioned oatmeal. You buy your oatmeal, you prepare it yourself. And people say, doctor, I don't have time for breakfast. If you don't have time to take care of yourself, if you don't have 5 minutes to prepare an oatmeal, I mean, forget it. You're not going to be healthy. And you better start saving money and to buy a very good health insurance, because you're going to need it. But you're going to have a lot of suffering. You're going to have a lot of pain. And that's not what I want for you. So what you have to do is say, I'm feeling this. I'm going to contact Dr. Rodriguez. You're spending nothing. You're paying nothing. Just call me. Send me a mail. Tell me what's happening with you. And we can talk about it. And we can plan a BioCare Health Getaway. What is a BioCare Health Getaway? I want you to take yourself, your pajamas, your toothbrush, and come to BioCare and work for 10 days, 2 weeks in reducing inflammation, in being totally checked up, in having a lot of rest, very good food, hyperbaric oxygen, we're cleansing of your blood vessels. We're going to improve, we're going to check the density of your blood. We're going to give you the vitamins, the process that you need to be healthier. And I tell my patients, once they get to the hospital, I say, now, thanks to your iPhone, you get your phone, your smartphone, and you say, I'm going to take a selfie every morning. And in 2-3 days, people tell me, doctor, I look better. And they didn't have surgery. They didn't have Botox. They didn't have anything. They just started doing better. Inflammation is going down. Wrinkles become less obvious. They start smoothing their skin. I could talk for 1 full hour about the aging of the skin. But suffice to tell you, that's one of the most important organs of our body, and they truly reflect our health. That's why we can see somebody in the street or in a reunion, and we say, oh God, he looks bad, because of his skin, her skin. You see, and when they take this selfie at the hospital every day, in 2-3 days, they can see the difference. And I always tell them, don't believe me, you have to believe your friends, your people at home, when they tell you, what did you do? So let's do this. If you feel you're gaining weight, if you feel your tummy is getting bigger, if you check your blood pressure and it's above 130, above 90, if you're getting all these little things, they're important warnings. They're the early warnings that are going to help you to live longer, healthier. And that's the time to say, I'm going to call BioCare I'm going to call Dr. Rodriguez. I'm going to plan my uh, my venture of health, my BioCare health getaway. And I'm going to promise you that if you do this for 10 days, I'm going to offer you 10 years of well being. That's a fantastic trade. You give me 10 days of your life, you come in the hospital for 10 days, you do everything you have to do, your hyperbaric oxygen, your, everything you need to do. You can even do stem cells. And then you go on much better prepared because now you know which supplements you have to take, which areas you have to cover, which are the risky problems that you have to iron out. And when you start doing all that, you're going to live healthier longer. And if now that you know how to take care of yourself, I can tell you you're going to have 10 fantastic years from there on. I have many people that come once a year, many people that come every 2, 3 years because they love it. When you go on a cruise ship, all you're going to do is eat, have fun, drink, etc. I love it. I love it too. But every now and then, you have to use that time, that money, to be healthier. Because if we don't do it, we're not going to be healthy. So let's work on yourself. For the first time in many years, I'm sure many people for the first time in their whole life are going to use a vacation time and money to get healthier, to look better, to be able to have a longer life in which they're going to be making money, they're going to be traveling, they're going to be with their loved ones, they're going to be in countless uh, barbecues and luncheons with the people they love. That's what I can offer you. That's why I want you to call. Do yourself a favor. Call, ask, learn. Because if you do that, you're going to start doing what you have to do. You have to start biocaring you with the special care that you need as we grow older. With the special need, we need to keep on being healthy and full of stamina. I'm going to see you next week, but please share all this information with everyone you love.